Hey guys, it's Kendra. Today I'm here to film a video for you all on the whole experience from the birth of my twin girls. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, I did a video on the whole process, like clips at the hospital. So I'll link that down below for you if you want to see that. But today I just wanted to sit here and talk about the experience, let you know kind of what went on and that sort of thing. It's crazy to actually be sitting here right now. I'm trying to think how long. I think it's been almost 4 weeks now. So I will also do a video on like postpartum. So I want to wait for this month to be up, and then I'll do like a month out and talk about how I've been feeling, my recovery, because I did get a C-section, talk about the babies and how they have been doing it. So if you guys have any questions about after the birth of them, let me know in the comment section, and then I will keep, track of all the questions, and I'll try my best to answer all those in the when I film that video. So today we're just going to talk about the hospital experience and all the questions that I received about the whole process. So I hope you guys all enjoy this, and let's get into it. So I filmed my week 35 and 36 update, and immediately after I got a phone call from the doctor's office saying that they wanted me to come in that day and induce me. So I originally, and at that point I was 36 weeks to the day, and I had been scheduled to be induced the following like Monday or Tuesday. So the reason that I was induced at 36 weeks is because I was pregnant with monodi twins, which is they have two separate sacs, but they share a placenta. So what happens, and I've explained this so many times, but I still get so many questions about it. What happens is after 36 weeks, your placenta starts to break down, so the babies are safer outside the womb than in you because a lot more complications can happen. And the other reason was that the babies were measuring to be really big. So my perinatal specialist said if I want to have a vaginal birth, my best bet is to just try to deliver them sooner than later because, yeah. So what happened was the hospital, there wasn't enough room to have just like a induction. So that's why I was scheduled for like 36 weeks in a couple days. So a spot opened up, and so they called me and they said, we can take you in right now. So I had my household bags packed and called Andrew up at work, and we headed over to the hospital, and we were so excited. I just got butterflies now because I just remember that feeling. I was just like slightly panicked, slightly excited, slightly terrified, and we grabbed our stuff, headed out. The car seats were all ready. We'd been ready for the month before that. Once we got all checked into the hospital, they started me on, yes, Pitocin right away. So my doctor came in and he said, I think we can have the babies today. And it was on 12, 14, 16. So we're like, oh, that'd be such a cool birthday. What they usually do is they give you something that they put down there, and it's supposed to help soften your cervix. So they do that first, and then they usually go in with Pitocin, which kind of which gives you those contractions. But they gave me Pitocin right away to try to speed up the process. And so I was on that from the start, and it's kind of all blurred now. That's why I wanted to film this right away, because I don't even know now. It's like I was there for so long. But what happened was the Pitocin wasn't really doing anything, and they kept coming back and checking me, and I don't know, I was maybe 2 centimeters dilated, and they kept saying, maybe we'll have them tomorrow now. So the doctor was like, I think we'll have them at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And the nurses were like, I think about 2 o'clock. So Andrew and I are there pretty hopeful, thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, we'll have them tomorrow. Great. So anyways, the Pitocin isn't working. So they stopped that, and they gave me, I don't know what it's called. It's something that helps soften your cervix. They stick it inside of you. So they tried that, and then I was on that for I don't know how long. And then they decided to take that out and put me back on the Pitocin, because like my body was just not really doing anything. Because honestly, 36 weeks, technically your body's not really ready to give birth because it's a month early, but we were trying to get the process going. And also my babies were doing fine, so they were just comfy in there, and they weren't really ready to come out either. So what happened was we were just getting kind of frustrated. We were thinking, we had just false expectations. We were thinking like it would happen so quickly. In reality, it was not the case at all. And when we did get there, one of the nurses was like, you know, this could take like 3 days. And we were like, yeah, right, it'll happen a lot sooner. So I don't know like how long it was in, but my Pitocin, they were going really, really high with the Pitocin. 30 is the max, and I was up to a 20. So it was a lot, and it was getting super, super painful. It was like very, very intense. I was not expecting that. And I have heard that Pitocin contractions can be worse because it's like, it's faking contractions kind of. It's like trying to make your body contract. But when I ended up getting off of it, like my body stopped having any contractions. So it wasn't my body at all. It was just all the Pitocin. So every now and then the nurses will come in and they would check to see if I had dilated at all. And that was the most painful part ever. It was so brutal when they would like angle me back and they would, you know, feel and see how much I've dilated. And I just remember just like crossing my fingers like, please, please, please tell me that there's been some progress. And it was just so slow. Like the whole process was super, super slow. And most of the time when they would check, nothing happened. They're like, yeah, it's the same. So that was just really, I don't know, I felt just kind of down every time they would do that. And it was just so incredibly painful that it was not fun. I also was getting so swollen. Oh my gosh, because they were pumping me with an IV and my legs were so swollen. My feet were unreal. It was crazy. Like when I look back on that video now, my face was humongous. I was just so swollen and sweaty. I hadn't showered or anything. And it was just getting like, I was just in bed for so long because I was hooked up to so many things. So I don't know when I got the epidural. I think I was only at dilated to a 3, but the Pitocin was so intense. Like I couldn't take it anymore. I was bawling my eyes out at night and I was squeezing Andrew's hand like because the contractions were pretty intense, but nothing was, I just kept thinking like, oh my gosh, we kept looking at the monitor like they're getting close, and I would have the contractions, but my body, like I was not dilating. So if you're not dilating, nothing's gonna happen. So what happened was they asked if I wanted to get an epidural, and I was like, I don't really want to right now because it seems so early to get it. And they said we can give you some pain meds right now and then wait a little bit longer. So I got some pain meds. That helped a lot. And then, I don't know, a couple hours out when those were off and the pain came back, it was just so excruciating. So I had a little more and the pain meds stopped working. So that's when I got the epidural. And the epidural did not hurt at all. I was really nervous for the epidural for I don't know. I just had heard like bad stories about it, and it was nothing compared to the contractions that I was having. It was like a piece of cake. So once I got that, I felt so much better because I just like, I remember that night was really, really rough. And the other thing that was kind of hard is every 12 hours I would get a new nurse. So it was like, we just had so many conflicting people's opinions, and I don't know. I just think Andrew and I were like, we didn't have there wasn't, not that I needed a plan, but we just didn't really know what was going on. Once I got the epidural, my pain went away, which is great, but then I was stuck in bed, so I couldn't get out of bed, so obviously that kind of can stall your labor, and I got super, super itchy from the medicine. Like, oh my gosh, I was so itchy, I just wanted to like roll around, but I was like, I'll take the itching over the pain. So once I got the epidural, nothing really happened. Like, it was just kind of, we were just waiting and waiting and waiting, and we kept upping the Pitocin, and that's when they decided to break one of the baby's sacs and try to get things going. So they did that, and it was so much fluid. I could not even believe it. It was like just like I can't even explain it. It was so much fluid. I felt instant like relief from the pressure that it took out. Like, it was crazy. And again, it didn't do anything. Nothing really happened. And I was getting a little worried then because you don't want to wait a super long time after you have a water broken, because it can you can get infected, you can get a fever, and a lot can go wrong. And Andrew, when he was born, that's what happened to him. So I just was really nervous about that whole thing. So basically over the course of 48 hours, nothing really happened. They ended up dropping my Pitocin a ton and trying, because my body was so saturated with it, and then they tried to slowly increase it again, and again, it didn't really do anything. It got to the point where Andrew and I were just so frustrated because nothing was happening. We didn't know what to expect now, and after one of my waters was broken, I didn't want to just sit there and wait for days on end. So basically we were just like, we need to talk to the doctor. So we had a nurse come in and we said, we need to have some type of plan. We need to know what's going on. Like, I don't want to just be waiting around now. So we talked to the doctor, and he said, do you want to do a C-section now? And I said, yeah, I want to, because I want them to be born. I didn't want to wait till the babies were in, like, the babies were fine, and I didn't want to wait till something was wrong to have, and then have an emergency C-section, or wait till I got a fever and then have to have an emergency C-section. I wanted to just have it as safe as possible. So obviously I really wanted to have vaginal birth, but it just wasn't going to happen. And I was reading the other day that with twins, if the babies are big, it's really hard to have vaginal birth. And I didn't know that, but looking back now, it does make sense, because they're kind of competing to who goes down the birth canal first, and they're big. So we decided then, let's go ahead and have a C-section. And once we decided on that, it was scheduled like a couple hours after that. So we just felt so much relief at that point. Like, we just knew, okay, they're going to be born, this is going to be over soon. And it was just like a really emotional 3 days, to say the least. So I went in for my C-section. They prepped me for it. They, prepped Andrew, got him all dressed, and I was already hooked up to the epidural, so they just put in the drugs through the epidural drip. So they wheeled me in the OR, and it was just super bright. There was tons of people, and I expected it to be kind of like serious. Oh my gosh, I know this is gonna sound dumb, but if you guys watch Grey's Anatomy and you watch like twin births and C-sections, it's always really intense, but it was not like that at all. It was just very kind of lighthearted in there, the vibe. So my arms were kind of like laid down so that I wouldn't try to use my hands for anything. I had a little like sheet up so I couldn't see anything down there, and they just started prepping me. I was so tired. All I remember, like, during the process, I was so tired. I was struggling to keep my eyes open, and I'm like, just stay awake, stay awake. They were putting like that yellowish orange stuff on me, and I remember after that, all I remember is them saying, okay, we've started, and I hadn't felt anything. It was really crazy. So it was just like a lot of prodding and pressure that I felt. And then when they were trying to get Violet out, because she was lower down, and I remember the doctor saying, man, she does not want to come out, and he said something else like, you're making this really hard on us or something, and I'm just thinking, that is not what I want to hear. But eventually they got her out, and I guess she was kind of like lodged in there or something, I don't know, but eventually she came out, showed her to me, whisked her away, and then they got June out the next minute. She came out really quick, and June was 6 pounds, Violet was 7'8", so she was like almost like 1.5 pounds heavier, which was crazy. They looked way different when they were born. Now they look very similar. Like, we get them confused all the time. But yeah, when they were born, they looked super different. Violet was really puffy and swollen. And anyways, so after they were born, I don't remember like them stitching me up or anything. It was super quick. I don't remember feeling them get the placenta out or anything, which, by the way, I'm eating in capsules. So I had it freeze dried for me in little pills. So I'll talk about that in my postpartum video. And my placenta was massive. So after that, I remember them bringing the babies over and putting them on my skin, and they were there for a little bit, and then Andrew went with them into the nursery. Since they were born at 36 weeks, they had to spend 4 hours in the nursery, mandatory time, just to be monitored, but they didn't have to spend any time in the NICU, which I was so thankful for. So then they took me into recovery for, I don't know, a couple hours or so, and I just remember being so tired. I just fell asleep, and I remember being freezing. I also was really shaky. I was really shaky, freezing. They kept putting a ton of blankets on me. And I remember like the second the pain medicine wore off, it was so intense. And there was no nurse around me at the time. And I remember she came over and I was like, can I have some pain medicine, please? It was really bad. So I was there for a little bit. I just kind of slept. And then they took me into the next room that I would be for the rest of the time. I was in so many rooms. It was a lot. So once I was in our room, I loved the nurse that I had at that point. She helped me with breastfeeding and like hand manipulation. I think it's hand expression. So I was hand expressing out the colostrum and putting it into little like vials, and then we feed it to them that way, just so we could get extra. And she just helped me with like tips and stuff on feeding them. I started out with tandem feeding them, and I did that for the first week or so, and then now I feed them one at a time because Violet just, like, the position when you're tandem feeding them is not the most comfortable for them. So it was getting kind of frustrating because I wouldn't know who ate what, like, it was just confusing. So now I just do one at a time. It's way better. I can have all my attention on one baby, and it's just more special to like have that time with one baby as opposed to trying to get both situated. It was like a lot, and I have to have somebody like bring the other baby to me. So I'll talk about breastfeeding more in my next video, but yes, for those of you guys asking, I am breastfeeding solely right now. So yeah, after that, it was just like me resting. I couldn't really move at all. I remember them putting these like compression things on my legs to help with the swelling because I was so incredibly swollen, and I just was a blob. I couldn't move for a very long time. When I stood up for the first time, it was so weird. It was so hard. Also because of how swollen I was. I just wasn't expecting it to be so painful. Like, I don't know. I think maybe people who have C-sections, you kind of forget about it. Like, especially even now, like I've already forgot about a lot of it. But it was really intense. And I just, yeah, it was not what I thought. So standing up was really rough. I did take a shower the second day after, and that was really hard, but I just felt so nasty. I had to, like, my hair was just a rat's nest. It was so gross. And it's funny because I look at all these bloggers that I follow, and after they give birth, they're in their cute robes and they have their baby in like this cute outfit, and it just looks so like magical, and it was not like that at all. I was disgusting. I was sweaty. We had not showered. Like, Andrew was a mess. Like, I was in my hospital gown the whole time. Like, I was not about to go change and put on a cute outfit. I had makeup smeared all over my face from 3 days before. It was just like, no. And as far as my hospital bag goes, I think I opened it one time to get chapstick, and that was it. I used one outfit for the girls to take home. I think that was honestly all. Oh, I used toiletries. When I took a shower, I used shampoo, conditioner, and face wash. I used some moisturizer maybe once, and I used dry shampoo. Literally, that was it. Oh, and I wore sweats, and I had like a t-shirt to wear home. But I packed so much stuff in my hospital bag, used absolutely none of it. And maybe it's different if you have a vaginal birth because your recovery is not the same. But if you're having a C-section, do not bring that much with you because you're literally in these giant mesh underwear that they give you, which were awesome. And you're wearing pads and you're bleeding a bunch. You're not going to want to wear any of your cute pajamas. Like, no. So I ended up leaving 2 days after the C-section, which typically you're supposed to stay 3 days, but we wanted to get the heck out of there. We were so over it, and I felt fine. I was like, I'd rather be home in the comfort of my house, and the babies were fine. The couple nights with them were pretty rough. The first night was actually not as bad. It was just hard because I couldn't get up, so Andrew had to do everything. Andrew had to change their diapers and do all that, and then he would just bring them to me to feed. And the second night was brutal because Violet had a little bit of jaundice, so they put her on that bed with the light, and she had to stay there all night long except when she was feeding, and she was just screaming. It was so hard. Like, looking back, I probably should have had the nurse help me more because I couldn't do much, or had them help and then like take her to the nursery, but we kind of just wanted them to be with us. But it was really, really hard. And but anyways, her jaundice went down, so it worked. But we just like wanted to go home so bad. So that is everything for today's video. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I don't even know if I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, but it's all kind of becoming a blur, and I'm sleep deprived, so yes. So I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you very soon. Bye!